How to write a research proposal. Keynote speaker. Professor Dr. Syed Reza, MS, Sweden. PhD, Australia. Professor. Department of Management Studies, University of Rajshahi.
We are going to, I'm going to use qualitative method, or I'm going to use quantitative method, or I'm going to use mixed method. Am I clear to you? So quanti, quali, mixed. These are the actually basic questions of conducting a research study. And there is a debate whether mixed method are allowed or not. Many researchers say that there is actually it is not a method. Actually, it is not a method for conducting a research. Many actually scholars say. So usually they will talk about two different methods of data collection, or they will talk about because method and methodology are different. You know that method and methodology are different. Again, I will talk about that issue. At the very briefly at the beginning of presenting quali and quanti, there is a debate. Which one is good, quali or quanti? Maybe we will start fighting each other. There is some of you will argue that is quality. Quali is best. Some of you will say no, it's not a research at all. Quantitative research is the actually research. So actually, in reality, there is no debate between quali and quanti. The scope of qualitative research is completely different from the scope of quantitative research. Is that one clear to you? When you will find mix between the situation of quali and quanti, then you can use mixed methodology. Is that one clear to you? So I'm not going to talk about that issue. I will briefly describe when you will go for qualitative study and when you will go for quantitative study. In doing so, I need to talk about research philosophy that most of you are not familiar with. Okay? So MPhil, PhD, this is the higher degree research. Am I right? Yes. So MPhil means Master of Philosophy, PhD, Doctor of Philosophy. Okay? So what is the basic difference between MPhil and a PhD? First I will talk about that issue, then I will jump into this discussion of how to write a proposal. Okay? Because that issue should be solved first, then we will start writing a proposal. Okay? So philosophy means doctor of philosophy, master of philosophy, because definitely some philosophical issues are related with your research studies. That's why it is a philosophy. Okay, you have solved a issue. So what philosophical actually elements are attached with your actually research, higher degree research? I'm talking about your MPhil and your PhD. Three issues. One is ontology, another one is epistemology, and finally methodology. These are the philosophical issues that we will deal with in your research studies. That's why they offer what degree? Master of Philosophy degree and Doctor of Philosophy degree. So first we will try to focus on ontology, epistemology and methodology. Then we will talk about why research failed. I failed. I submitted my proposal but I failed. Why? Because when your ontology, epistemology and methodology mismatched, then you will fail. Nobody will give you a pass. Is that one clear to you? But the problem is that, so those who are using qualitative study, for them, your supervisor is not going to ask you to portray your ontology, epistemology and methodology. Then how you will come to know? Because automatically it will fit. If you exactly follow how to write research proposal. You don't need to think about ontology, epistemology and methodology. If you strictly follow the pattern of a proposal, then automatically it will match. I'm saying you. If you are going for actually qualitative study, then you need to talk about that issue categorically. Your supervisor will say, talk about ontology, talk about your epistemology and methodology in your thesis. Is that one clear to you? But try to remember, if you know nothing about ontology, epistemology and methodology, it doesn't matter, yet you will pass if you follow the structure of your actually rigorous research proposal. You will pass. Is that one clear?
Yes.
So now first I would like to talk about that research philosophy. This is called research paradigm. And this is the main issue in research. So where your research study is going to stand when it's come to the question of research paradigm. You don't know. Still your research. So actually maybe you don't need to know about research paradigm, but your supervisor know actually where your thesis will go and what is your standpoint when it comes to research paradigm. Is that one clear to you? So what is research paradigm? That is very important before starting a thesis. At least you need to know. It is said a research paradigm is a set of common beliefs and agreements shared between scientists about how problems should be understood and addressed. So we have our perception are different. Based on that, our beliefs, our argument, our agreement are different. So that's why my stand will be completely different from your stand, because our beliefs are different. Why belief is important? Now I will come to that point. Research paradigm. First, these are the paradigm. These are the ontology, epistemology, theoretical perspective, methodology, and methods. Okay? First paradigm is positivism. First paradigm is positivism. I will talk about that paradigm. What is saying? There is a single truth or single reality. When you will find there is a single truth, it doesn't matter whether I am conducting that study or you are conducting that study. We will come to the same conclusion. The thing is that if I come with different conclusion and you come with another conclusion, that is human error. That is maybe one of us didn't follow robust system of doing that particular research. Is that one clear? And that is very, very quantitative in nature. And if you fall, your research fall in positivism paradigm, reality can be measured, and hence the focus is on reliable and valid tools to be obtained. So you will focus on your reliability and validity. Those who are going for quantitative, you present. Is how you will test your reliability and validity actually of your thesis. Am I right? So this is positivism. So theory is needed to support any research studies. You don't know that is whether you are using a theory or not. Still, I said earlier, automatically it will support some of the theory. Maybe you are not talking about that theory in your thesis. So definitely it will fall in positivism or post-positivism if you are in positivism paradigm. Then what will be the research? Experimental research, survey research. These are the actually I'm talking about methodology. Methodology is the philosophy of conducting a research. The methods is technique that you are going to use in collecting and analyzing your data. Okay? So usually it is quantitative, definitely. Could include sampling, measurement, scaling, statistical analysis, focus group, interview. These are the methods you are going to use if your research fall under positivism. And all the paper you presented here today fall under this specific segment. Okay, positivism. Then constructivist or interpretive research. This is another paradigm. What is said here? Oh, sorry. I'm extremely sorry. There is no single reality or truth. I believe there is no single reality or truth. What is said? Reality is created by individual. We created the reality. Then if we believe that, therefore reality needs to be interpreted. As reality is created by individual, it needs to be interpreted. Then what we'll find? The theoretical perspective of this paradigm is interpretation, phenomenology. Maybe you are not familiar with this sort of, most of you are not familiar with this sort of methodology or theoretical framework. Theory, not framework. Symbolic interactionalism, hermeneutics, critical inquiry, feminism. These are the actually theoretical theory that is going to underpin your research if you fall under this specific paradigm. So what will be your methodology? Ethnography. I guess you are not familiar with, most of you are not familiar with this actually methodology. Ethnography, grounded theory. Phenomenology, usually it is qualitative, could include interview, observation, case study, narratives, storytelling, life story, theme identification. These are the methods you are going to use if you fall under this paradigm. So basically these are the two major paradigm you will find in conducting research studies. Grounded theory, ethnography. When you start from nothing, you are saying someone was talking about that issue. I didn't find any research study. I am the first who is conducting that research. That means actually your research will be qualitative, not quantitative. When you start from nothing, definitely it should start from qualitative study. After conducting that study, the qualitative study will create the base for another quantitative study. So other people will derive the construct and variable from the study, and he will go or she will go for quantitative study. Usually this is happening. Am I clear to you?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Then what are the other paradigm you have? Pragmatism. This is very actually important paradigm in the West. You will find pragmatists there. Then you have subjectivism, you have criticalism. Critical paradigm means reality is socially constructed. Because why I'm focusing that thing? Because I conducted my thesis in critical studies. I am believer of critical theory. What is said here? Both the reality and knowledge are socially constructed. Both the reality and knowledge are socially constructed. This is not enough. In critical theory, they say, and influenced by power relation from within the society. So power is reshaping the knowledge. Power can set the reality. So if you are the believer of that reality, definitely you will not go for the previous paradigm. You will try to conduct your research in critical paradigm. Is that quite clear to you? Then you will go for critical analysis, critical discourse, critical ethnography, action research. So these are the actually methods you are going to use if your interest and if your research fall under this specific paradigm. So this is all about research per paradigm. If you would like to know about this paradigm, you can visit Crotin and Scotland. Actually, then you will come to know about all these issues actually elaborately. But try to remember, research philosophy is very important. You need to know ontology, epistemology, and methodology. And try to remember one thing I missed. Very actually important issue. Nobody will write ontology like that way, because it took years to understand what is ontology, what is epistemology, and what is methodology. Maybe you will employ 3 or 4 years after that you will come to know, oh, this is ontology or this is epistemology. But what is ontology? What is reality? In your research, what is ontology? Usually, the introduction part is your ontology. You present reality of your research actually paradigm. That is what is reality. Epistemology, what is that? How can I know about reality or knowledge? So you will find actually if you look at your actually literature review, you will find that is how you came to know about reality. Is that quite clear to you? So you don't know actually what is ontology, what is epistemology, but automatically it will fit with your research study. Then methodology. Procedure, what procedure do I use to know the reality? So you know that is what procedures you are going to use to know reality. That is methodology. And methods means what tool I'm going to use to acquire knowledge. So these are the philosophical terms used in research studies, especially in higher degree research. So if you go for MPhil, that philosophical question should be solved by you or your supervisor. Maybe you don't know, but your supervisor will solve that issue for you on behalf of you. In some cases, your supervisor will ask you to talk about the ontology, epistemology, and methodology briefly in your thesis. Okay? But try to remember, your ontology, epistemology, and methodology must be aligned. So you cannot say, in critical studies, I am going to use that is inferential statistics or quantitative studies. It will not fit. Your thesis will fail. Is that one clear to you? So if you are in any paradigm, you need to follow the rest of the path. Is that one clear to you? This is robust. That is, you must follow this path actually. If you believe reality is socially constructed, you need to do that. You need to go for that theory or something like that. But try to remember what I said, that is theory is everywhere. But maybe you don't know. You have skipped that thing. Maybe your supervisor didn't talk about that issue in your thesis. But still, some of the theory definitely supporting your research work. But maybe you don't know. Am I clear to you? But in qualitative study, there is no chance. You need to present your theory first. So how to write a research proposal? I am not expert in this field. Especially the way you present it, I cannot even present my thesis or proposal like that because I am ignorant. I don't know anything about quantitative study and quantitative research. I can handle qualitative research and studies like that is the way you want. I can give you a tour on that particular arena of qualitative study, but not in quantitative study. How to use loading, factor loading, whether I'm going to use Amos or Israel, whether I'm going to use actually. But the thing is that I found some mismatch in your presentation. I will talk about that issue later on because that's why I didn't say anything while you were presenting. So outline of my proposal or of my presentation. First, I will talk about what is research proposal. Then I will talk about types of research proposal, and finally I will end up with content of PhD and MPhil research proposal. You can link your proposal with PhD and MPhil proposal because I thought that is most of the participants will be teachers. That's why I presented the slide like that because it is their interest. Because anyway, we need to conduct our research studies and we need to go for higher degree research. First, we need to know what is research proposal. This is the research proposal. Try to remember, try to focus on the slide. A research proposal is a concise and coherent summary of your proposed research. So what you are planning to do, it is a concise form of your presentation. I'm talking about proposal. It sets out the central issues or questions that you intend to address, research questions. It outlines the general areas of studies within which your research falls, referring to the current state of knowledge and recent debates of the topics. So what will be included in research that is mentioned here in few sentences. Is that point clear? Then it is said the goal of research proposal is to present and justify the need of study. So most of you didn't present or justify your study. That is the limitation of your presentation. I'm talking about your proposal. Those who are defending your proposal. So if there is no need to conduct that research, if you cannot prove there is no need, or if audience believe there is no need, you cannot conduct that research. There is no actually value of your research if you fail to justify your research. Is that point clear? So at any cost, the goal of research proposal is to present and justify the need of the study, a research problem, and to present the practical ways in which the proposed study should be conducted. How we are going to approach your research, that should be mentioned there. Okay? Then I will talk about different types of research proposal. Academic research, applied research. So we will not talk about applied research. We will talk about academic research. We are working on different grants. Am I clear to you? And we are working for higher degree research. For MPhil PhD, research grants means UGC project, government project like that. These are the grants. So how to write proposal, they will dictate. They are prescribed from how to present your proposal. And you need to follow that thing actually. Exactly, if you fail to follow their pattern, you will not get fund. If you don't get fund, you cannot conduct that research, for sure. Okay? So I will talk about higher degree research. Applied research means, what is applied research? That is to solve a practical problem when you are asked to conduct a research. Maybe it is solicited research or unsolicited. Maybe government has hired you to conduct that research, or maybe you yourself actually conducting that research based on the actually importance of that problem. You are thinking that you have that capacity and it is your duty to solve that issue. So the physicians who are working on the recent time, who are working on on dengue. They are in actually applied research. So when you are conducting research on fighting against Ebola or something, this sort of actually problem, you are in applied research. Or this is the simplest way to answer that question. Content of research proposal. I'm talking about higher degree research. Content of research proposal. First, working title. You have presented your title and your resources. Your teachers talk about your title. Am I right? They gave you feedback. You can use colon, you can use that after prepositional like that. So how to write title? There is a prescribed way. It is an art to present your working title. Definitely it means something. It is not coming from nowhere. Definitely from the title, our readers will come to know about your thesis. Am I clear to you? This is very important. I will come one by one. Then it should have an abstract, which you don't have. That is the limitation of your proposal difference. It should have an abstract. Then it should have introduction. It should have literature review. It should have methodology, ethical issues, data storage, facilities and resources or budget, timeline and references. So try to remember, these are very important. I'm talking about ethical issue, data storage and facilities and resources. If you are planning to conduct research abroad, maybe all issues are not actually relevant to your context. Okay, so you don't need to go for any ethical clearance in Bangladesh. Or if you are conducting research any part of the world apart from Bangladesh, you must get ethical clearance first. Okay, without clearing your ethics approval, you cannot even collect a single data. They will not allow you to do that. So that's why it is very important. I will talk about that issue. Then data storage. I will talk about that issue. Where you will put your data. That is very important to your universities. Who is going to use that data? Who have access? How the data will be protected? Everything should be mentioned there. I will talk about that issue. Then timeline and milestone. We have already mentioned that. This is something like that. And references, for sure. There will be references. So, working title. I'm not going to take your use time to describe all these issues. I will try to make my presentation as short as possible. What is said? The working title describes the breadth and depth of the research topic. The breadth and depth of your research topic. CSR in garment industry, a case study of Odisha. From that title, you can sense the depth of the research studies, the breadth of the research studies. Is that one clear to you? So it is said usually a name, general subject, followed by a colon, and a phrase that focus on the subject. Okay? This is one way you can write your title. Name a general subject, narrow it with a prepositional phrase. Yes, you can do that. Allowed. Name a general subject followed by a colon and a phrase that describes the type of study. Finally, name a general subject followed by a colon and a question. You cannot attach question in your thesis. Many of you say, many of the scholars say, no. When I seen a thesis titled Arranged Marriage Under Institutional Dwelling. That thesis was conducted in knowledge management. And what is the relationship with arranged marriage in thesis? But the researcher, they coined that title using his bravery. There is arranged marriage under institutional dwelling. Why he used that title? Because he was working on knowledge management in the process of merger. So merger is kind of arranged marriage for the both parties. So that's why he used that title to focus on his research studies. Okay? So this is working title. Now abstract. What is abstract? How to write an abstract? This is very, very important issues. If you are planning to write an article, you need to send abstract, and there are some word limitation. For some journal, it should be within 100 words. For some journals, they will allow you up to 300 words, but not more than 300. So between 100 to 300. Okay? So when you are planning to write down abstract, first the first version you will end up with 1,000 words for sure, or maybe few thousand words. Then you need to cut and make it short, and then you realize it is 100 words, but it doesn't make any sense. Now my abstract is not making any sense. Is that point clear to you? It should make some sense. What should be included here? The overall purpose of the study. The purpose statement should be there in abstract for sure. The basis of designing the study. Why you are conducting that research. And the significance of the proposed research. And sure to write, it is said, be sure to write this section last so that its content indeed reflect the thesis. Usually what we do? First we write abstract, then we write introduction. This is not the process of writing abstract. Abstract should be written at the end of your actually research study. When you are done with your research proposal or your research paper, PhD thesis, then you will sit together maybe with your supervisor to write your abstract. That's the last item of a proposal. This is not first item. You have to remember that thing. Then say introduction. Deficiency model should be followed in writing introduction. What should be there? The research problem. You must address research problem in your introduction. Then studies that have addressed the problem. Deficiencies in these studies, that means research gap. Then the importance, significance of the study, the purpose of the statement or objectives or research questions or hypothesis, whatever say. So usually you will find these issues in introduction. Sometimes actually we don't know how to write introduction. You are working on employee retention or something like that, whatever might be your topic. You have started with that sentence, then you are discussing other thing in introduction. No relation with your topic, no relation to your area. So don't do it. You must write in introduction about these issues, your research problem, so that it is like actually making a chain. You will use word to develop a chain. This is the starting point, this is the locket point, then this is the ending point. This is all about research and proposal. Is that point clear to you? If you find anything, if anything is missing, you will fail. So how to write introduction? You must present introduction. You only present irrelevant information in your introduction, not irrelevant. And I will talk about that issue, though it should direct to the gap, but when actually it will be discussed in literature review. That is what you will do in literature review, then it will be clear to you. Problem statement, I have talked about that. Now I am going to discuss these different issues. Problem statement, the current state differ from the ideal state or the absence of an acceptable solution. That's why you are conducting that research. What is problematic? Why you are conducting? What is the research problem actually? You are addressing that particular problem. Research gap. What is research gap? These are the example of research gap. Competing explanation. I am saying something, she is saying something. So it is contradicted. So there is a scope to conduct another research. Is that point clear to you? This is also gap. Then overlooked areas. I search everything, but I didn't search this point. So this is the gap. Is that point clear? Then under-researched. Under-research means you ignored something. Then lack of empirical support. You are saying, though researchers are saying that thing, but it doesn't have actually empirical support, so that we cannot conclude like that. So if something is missing, if lack of empirical support will lead you to finding your research gap. Extending and complementing existing literature, that you are doing. You are extending current knowledge. So in research studies, in MPhil PhD, one thing is very important. One is, the thing is novelty and originality. Without actually adding knowledge in body of knowledge, you will be not awarded PhD. There should have originality and novelty in your research. Only then you will be awarded with PhD. But in MPhil, novelty, originality is not demanded. If you could establish that, it is okay, but it is not demanded. Try to remember that thing. For your master's thesis, originality is not demanded. Extension of knowledge is okay. So one researcher conducted a study in Taiwan, you can replicate that study even in Bangladesh and in Mauritius also. That is the extension of the knowledge. Is that one clear to you? So try to remember that thing. You can also use this technique in writing your MPhil thesis, but not your PhD thesis. Research objectives. The purpose statement is the most important statement in the entire research study. Why you are conducting the research. The purpose statement indicates why you want to do the study and what you intend to accomplish. That is very important. Then the objectives are specific, clear and succinct statement of intended outcome from the research. It is said SMART policy should be used in defining research objectives. What is SMART? It is said specific, measurable, attainable, relevant and timely. When I was actually listening to your proposal defense, I was struggling to match this SMART policy with your actually proposal defense. Whether it is attainable, whether it is achievable, because I saw that some of you came with maybe 50 hypotheses or 20 hypotheses. How you are going to manage? Because I've seen a lot of PhD thesis that is they solved only one question. Still they got PhD. So you will not find that is in developed world, their PhD students is handling more than five hypotheses. But in our country we are handling 20, 30. So if we are thinking, the more actually hypotheses we can draw, it will bear more credit to our actually study. No, it is wrong perception. Okay? Then attainable, whether it is attainable or not. That question was asked at the last presentation. That is when the presenter talked about sexual harassment, whether it is attainable or not. So if it is not attainable, they will not allow to do that. Okay? So try to remember that thing. Relevant, timely. So I am talking about whether company should follow CSR practices in Bangladesh. That is your question. But this is not a timely question. That issue has been solved years ago. That was a question in 1980s. Okay, so when the scholars were debating on CSR, whether to go for CSR or not. So that time it was actually a relevant question and timely question. If you are researching and how to actually develop antidotes of tuberculosis, this is not timely question. The issue has been solved. It is the end. Is that one clear? So you need to raise the question based on the reality, where you are. Research questions. What is it? The purpose statement set the objectives, and you need to derive question from the objectives. Many of the scholars say first research question, then objectives. Others say first objectives, then from the objectives you need to raise questions. What is said? The purpose of the statement sets the objectives, the intent, and the major ideas of proposal or a study. This idea builds on a need, the problem, and it's defined into specific questions. The research questions to be answered, or actually the question will be from the question you will come to know whether it is descriptive question or inferential question. So raising inferential question, you are using descriptive strategy. What does it mean? You will fail. The simple word will be actually tagged with your thesis fail. Try to remember that is what you are planning to do, because descriptive analysis, mean mode, median mode. I will use stratified random sampling, and again I am going to use mean mode, median mode. What is the use of using mean, median mode? When you are using data from a specific class, MBA 23rd batch, so then you can use descriptive analysis that fits with the reality. Is that point clear to you? But when you are planning to use inferential actual research question and using descriptive analysis, that will not fit with your study. Significance is very important. What is it? What is the contribution of your study? Whether you are going to make any theoretical contribution or not. What is the managerial contribution or practical contribution of your thesis? What is the regulatory policy or reform contribution? how the government is going to use your, this is fine, this is reform. Is that clear to you? Sometimes we say that is this study, we are conducting that study for the first time. Our government is going to use that the knowledge that will be developed by this research study. So then the money, it has some managerial implication like that way. I will build the theory. Suppose you are in qualitative research. Why you are in qualitative research? Because you are going to generate theories. Either you are using critical ethnography or grounded theory. Grounded theory was developed only to generate theories. Is that one clear to you? So you are planning to build theory and you are using statistics. What does it mean? You know nothing. Your examiner will come to the conclusion that is you know nothing. If you are planning to generate theory, you need to use grounded theory, critical ethnography, discourse analysis, and phenomenology. These are the different techniques used to generate theories. Okay? So what is the contribution of your research? Whether it is theoretical, what theoretical implication have? What are the actual managerial implication or practical implication of your research? These are the very important questions. If there is no implication, no research. No objectives, no research. No importance, no research. Am I clear to you? No gap, no research. Is that one clear to you? So at any cost, you need to find gap, you need to find importance, you need to find relevancy, everything you need to find in your research study. Otherwise, no need to conduct a research study. Then purpose. Purpose of literature review. This is very important. Very, very, very important. Very often we also mislead by judging the literature review. Okay? So what is there? What should be there? Distinguish what has been done and what needs to be done. That should be shown in your literature review. Discover important variables related to research studies. You are using variables, construct. So that should be developed from your, that should come from your literature review. You cannot jump onto that any variable. This is my variable. I'm going to test that hypothesis. No, you cannot do that. It should have theoretical support, empirical support, literature review support. Then gain new perspective. Identify relationship between ideas and practice. Then establish the context of the problem. Then rationalize the significance. Rationalize the significance of the problem. Then acquire the subject vocabulary. This is the most important issue in literature review. Subject vocabulary. Okay? What does it mean? Suppose you are working in diversity. Workplace diversity. This is actually area. But you are not saying anything about actually gender, ethnicity issues. That means you don't know that subject vocabulary. You will fail. So for a specific area of research, there are specific jargon used by the research community. This is called subject vocabulary. You must present your expertise by writing those subject vocabulary in your literature. That is, you know the field. You are familiar with the problem. You are familiar with the state of that problem. Then understand the structure of the subject, relate idea and theory to applications, identify main methodologies and research techniques. Very often we think in literature review, we do not talk about methodology. We will jump onto that methodology part. No. If you don't know about ontology, epistemology, methodology, you should start from literature review. XYZ conducted a qualitative study on that, using that statistics. So you are talking about the methods and methodology in literature review to support your own methodology. You cannot jump onto this. Everybody used, actually, suppose Amos to solve a problem, and you are saying that is, I will use descriptive analysis. Why? There will be no audience in your research. Suppose now, if you are conducting research in any field like social science, if you don't know how to handle actually at least the structural equation model, you cannot publish your paper anywhere. Anywhere. Even the secret journal will not accept your article. Okay? Suppose you are using qualitative study. Suppose you need to know how to use softwares. If you are using softwares to handle your data, that means that is, actually you are equipped with advanced tools and techniques of handling quality research. Is that one clear? So everything should be clearly mentioned here. Identify methodologies and such statement. So how actually, suppose you are conducting research in a specific segment, how many actually literature you will review in literature review? That is the big question. Am I right or wrong? How many? There should be a limitation. In proposal and in thesis. Someone will say no, but my supervisor, he said yes, we have. He asked me to present only 10 literature in my PhD thesis. Only 10. He allowed only 10. But I read thousands of actually literature, more than thousands of literature. To me, all are my son and daughter to me. I was not ready to discard any of the literature from my thesis. But he said, hey Reza, don't go to another line, only present 10 most actually important theoretic literature in your thesis. That would be enough. Your community will understand actually whether you have understand the topic or not. If you present everything, they will be confused. That is, you know nothing. You don't know which one is important and which is not important to you. You don't know how to address the gap. So do not create a mess in presenting literature review. There should be a limit. Is that one clear? And I'm addressing you, that is when you are presenting literature review, you can use a chart. Simply. After discussion, a chart, or before discussion, a chart. You will write down the name, the methodology he has used, when the research was conducted, what is the findings, and what is the research gap. By this way, you can link your literature review to a specified gap. Okay, after that you can describe your literature review. It's okay. But it is current trend, that is all actually scholars are using a table to present the literature review part. Underpinning theory, this is not actually important for all of you. Some of you are not presenting because some of you are using theory and theoretical framework or conceptual framework are different. These are not same. Theory is underpinning theory. That is, suppose I was using post-colonial theory. That was my theory. I was standing on post-colonial theory to investigate my research topic. But my theoretical framework was different. I derived that my theoretical framework, but don't want to enter into that debate in this discussion. Because scholars have said they have different arguments on presenting hypotheses in research studies. But at least you have to have hypothesis. Theoretical and conceptual framework, what is it? A theoretical presentation or variables and relationship, that you all familiar with that. It really explains why the relationship will be observed. A theoretical framework is not a theory. For sure, the theoretical framework is not a theory. Methodology, research design. We will talk about your research design. Cross-sectional, longitudinal. So you need to mention that thing in your methodology part. Okay? Population sample sampling. That is very, very important. What is it? Identify the population, sample and sampling frame. That is very important. You need to know your population. Then determine that and justify the sample size. You all need that thing. You are using some sort of mathematical model to justify your sample size. So you need to do that, for sure. If it is qualitative, the things are different. Then what will be the sample procedure? That is sampling procedure. Probability, random, systematic, stratified, cluster, non-probability, convenience. What is convenience? What is quota? What is judgmental? What is snowball? So these are the different techniques of sampling. Okay? Snowball means he is my sample. He actually show me the path. That is, she could be my another sample. So this is snowball. I am using snowball to find my respondent. That is used in qualitative study. Okay? Data. What type of data you are planning to use? Primary data or secondary data? How we are going to collect? Experiment versus non-experiment. Questionnaire survey, interview, focus group, observations. All are used in both study, qualitative and mixed. Okay? Data analysis technique. This is very important. I said you earlier, try to cope up with modern trend. if the current researcher are investigating the same thing using a specific methodology and methods, you need to follow that path. You cannot use a model or path that was developed in 1980. Actually 1980, our researcher was using descriptive analysis to solve a problem. Now we are using Amos or Lisren to analyze the same data actually. Okay? The forms are different. So we need to cope up with recent changes. Otherwise, you cannot enter into community. Research means community. Research means community. Research publication means specific community. You are in a specific community. If you are publishing your paper in any journal that has a specific audience and specific community, other people will not talk about the issue. Only the community will talk about that issue. If you could publish your paper in A-star journal, your partner will be actually all the A-star, actually all the reputed actually scholar will be there to judge your issues. They will start commenting on your paper or something like that. This is all about community. Okay? So in order to find good community, reputed community, you need to know that is which specific technique you are needed to apply in your thesis. This is very important. Then ethical issues. First question will arise whether your research is involved with human or animal. If yes, you need a ethical clearance. You need an ethical clearance. If you are performing your task in laboratory without your research is not involved with animal or human, maybe you don't need ethical clearance. Now ethical clearance are different. There is high risk and low risk. They will determine whether you need to prove whether your proposal, your research is high risk project or low risk project. What is said here? Need to follow the norms of the code of information. Whether you will inform the participant about the objectives or you will not inform the participant. How you will hide, because that was the question you were generating while during the proposal defense. How you will protect the name of the organization and name of the participant. It cannot be done. It is said, state clearly whether or not the copy of the transcript will state clearly whether or not the participant confidentiality will be maintained. How you will maintain? Next question. State clearly whether or not the sensitive information revealed during the interview will be treated confidentially. Then state clearly whether or not non-identification code will be used in transcript. So when I am writing transcript, on that very moment I need to hide the identity of the organization and the participant. Next, state clearly whether or not the transcript will be altered in a way to protect the identity of the participant. I will hide the identity and I will protect my participant by any means. Is that one clear to you? Try to remember that ethical issues. Data storage, how the data will be stored. Every organization, if it is funded by a donor organization, they will actually take your data. They will ask you to keep your data into their repository. They will ask you how the data will be protected. You can give the password. They will have also the password. They can also use the data. Who will use the data? There is a question. There is a debate also here. Mention who will have the access in the data. How long the data will be stored in the repository? 5 years. Usually for research studies they demand 5 years or 10 years like that. So you need to state that thing very clearly in data storage. Facilities and resources, that means budget. Okay, what sort of assistance do you need from the organization? A desk, a computer, like that for conducting interview, you need that interview materials and so on. Am I clear to you? You need to travel from here to there, travel cost. If you need to employ any assistant, research assistant, their salary, everything should be included here. And you must talk about facilities and resources. It is said the most important point in preparing a budget is to make sure that you ask for all facilities and the resources that you are going to employ in your research. Okay? If you miss something, you need to pay by your own. But you don't have the money. You are the researcher. You are a poor man. Research timeline for MPhil 1 to 2 and for PhD 3 to 5. This is accepted. And all over the world it is the norms. If you could, but you can extend your time by applying. They will extend your time. Then you have to have reference like that. What is reference? How to write reference? That is another question. So, if there is no rule, some universities has rule. You need to follow APA, you need to follow Chicago, you need to follow Harvard referencing. But in many universities, reported universities, they do not follow any specific pattern. They ask you, you are feel free. Then what you need to do? You need to follow one single pattern to for in-text citation for reference. Okay? That is okay, no problem. But you need to follow a unique pattern. Is that point clear to you? No problem if you follow a unique pattern. Thank you. Thank you very, very much for your patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.